What's up, my friends? Well, welcome to video number 1 on this brand new YouTube page that is part of a new venture that is beginning in 2018 that hopefully will continue throughout the year of some new projects that I'm working on, and this is going to be one of them. I've spent the better part of today listening to music, reading, just kind of reflecting and expecting, and one of the things that I came across was something I wanted to share with you, and it's from a book that I've been reading by Carl Lentz. He's the lead pastor of Hillsong, New York. It is a branch church out of Hillsong Church. You might have heard of them. They're based out of Sydney, Australia, and they have churches literally all over the world. And Carl happens to lead pastor, he and his wife, Laura, the one based in New York City. And a couple months ago, he put out a book called Own the Moment. And I have been reading that book with a lot of fervency, and I wanted to read you something, and it's from a chapter that I read today. It said, "Your brokenness can be a bridge to somebody else's wholeness. It's counter to our culture to choose to be vulnerable enough to even acknowledge our weakness, let alone share about it so others can learn from it. Yet there is so much power and freedom in it. It's one thing to share about your success stories. It's an even better thing to encourage people who may be on a similar journey and could use the encouragement that comes with knowing they are not alone in some common struggles. Your losses in life will resonate with far more people than your wins ever will. So who can you encourage with your story? Who can you lift up by letting your guard down? If it could make the difference between somebody choosing to live another day or give a risk again, it's worth it every time." Man, this challenged me to my core because it's something that I've been trying to work on in and of myself. The past 5.5 years have been, man, eye-opening, engaging. You know, in 2012, April of 2012, I made a big decision that forever altered the course of my life. And in 2017 was one of the single most challenging years I've ever experienced. You talk about valleys, you talk about lows, you talk about feeling like you're never going to get out of it. That was the majority of 2017. And the title of this is The Power of Weakness. How I grew up, teachings that I was exposed to, is when you had the privilege of being on stage or being a public figure, whatever that means, that you don't show weakness from the stage. You don't admit where you fall short or have weaknesses or tendencies or issues. And then I started meeting a different group of people. I got exposed to a different way of life and a different way of thinking, of seeing people who loved God and who are so good at what they do, and there was tremendous growth, and they would stand on stage and tell you about what they were going through. And it would freak me out because I would look to the sound booth and be like, "Are you going to cut their mic? Like, what is wrong with you? You're not supposed to do that." Where I was taught that, you know, maybe behind the scenes or closed doors, you can maybe share what you're going through, but never from a stage, Steve. Because out there, we have to project strength because people are looking to us to be an example. And I can tell you something. It's exhausting to live that way. And like I said, over the past 5.5 years, I've met some of the best people that I've ever met in my life, loving people that I came to find that started to love me just for me, not what I could do for them or the connections that I had or to tap into my network, but simply said, "Steve, we just like you and want to be your friend." It's like, really? Like, you don't want me to do anything for you? I mean, if you want to, but I still want to be your friend even if you don't. I was like, wow. You know, I go to a pretty cool church, Cowboy Junction Church. Now, I'll just start right off the bat. I'm a Mexican who could pass for Asian who goes to a church with the name Cowboy Junction in it, where my lead pastor, many of the times, not always, has a belt buckle on while he preaches. He's got a fantastic wife, a wonderful friend of mine. And I've met, along with the staff and people there, some of the best and most genuine people I've ever met, who walk with strength and vulnerability. And whether they would realize it or not, I would watch them and I would observe how they would live, how they were so forthcoming with what they were going through, but yet gave God glory and praise for how he was bringing them out of it. And it was new for me, but I tried to do it. But I got to say, it wasn't until this past year, 2017, that I really started to understand the power of weakness. Yeah, I was listening to some music today. Perhaps you've heard of him, Eminem, probably the greatest rapper of our generation. Now, if that offends you, hold your horses, calm down. It was a clean version, okay? And even if it wasn't, that's okay. And there's a song that I really like that I keep in my music library called Till I Collapse. Now, rather than offend everyone and rap it, I'm just going to read the opening part of the song. It says, sometimes you just feel tired, you feel weak. And when you feel weak, you feel like you just want to give up. But you got to search within you. And you got to find that inner strength and just pull that mess out of you. He didn't use mess. And get that motivation to not give up and not be a quitter, no matter how bad you just want to fall flat on your face and collapse. Now, if you work out, I don't. I have a gym membership. I use it to go to the hydro massage bed. Don't judge me. But when I used to run more often, I would put this song in and, kind of get you hype and get you amped. And, you might just listen to the beat or maybe you learn the words. But I've come to find that this way of thinking, not listening to Eminem, but it says you got to find that inner strength and pull that out of you and get that motivation to not give up. Can I be honest with you? I have triggers in my life. I have things in my life that send me to a place emotionally or mentally that are not healthy for me. There are certain TV shows that I don't watch anymore. There's certain movies that I currently can't watch in this season in my life. And there's certain music, certain songs that trigger an emotion or a memory within me that it's just not a healthy place for me to be in. So I started deleting it. I took it off my Netflix watch list or boxed up that DVD and set it away. There might come a time where I can watch it or listen to it again, and that's cool. But the reason why I did that is I visited with my counselor. Yes, I see a counselor and have for almost a year now. Well, Steve, I thought you were a Christian. Don't you believe in the effective, fervent prayer and think that prayer changes things? I absolutely do. So what do you recommend? Praying hard or counseling? And my answer is yes, because both have their place. And one of the things that I had mentioned was I recognize my triggers now. And he said, why now? I said, because for the entirety of my life, up until the tail end of 2017, I relied on my own strength and be like, that ain't going to faze me. I'm better than that. I'm stronger than that. That ain't going to faze me. If I think of something, no problem. But I started to find that it would take me to a place here and emotionally that just wasn't good, where you kind of feel like you're spiraling into a pit of depression. And yeah, I did battle depression in 2017, and thank God for his grace and his mercy and a wonderful church home and family and friends who would let me vent for hours on end and work through all the things that I needed to work through and am still working through. But the point of the matter is this. I stopped relying on my own strength to think that I was stronger than that, because we have this tendency to find these inspirational gurus or social media accounts or Pinterest pages that said, you just got to believe in yourself and that's enough. You know what? I do believe that self-belief is part of it, but believe in me? For what? Trust in myself? You got to be kidding me. I have got to find and believe in someone that is above the pit, that helps me out of the pit. Because a lot of the times accountability today seems to be, man, this stinks. It sure does. Oh, I am miserable. I am too. We should do something about it. We sure should. What should we do? I don't have any idea. But there's got to be someone above it and transcendent above it all who reaches his hand down and says, I got you, Steve. I got you. And I got to admit, for me, I lost my way for a while and started putting all the emphasis on what I could achieve and how I could be recognized, until it had to be stripped back down to square one. That you strip away the titles, you strip away the education, the experience, or what I get honored and privileged to do as a career. And say, you take that all away, Stephen, what are you left with? Just God. And there was a question of, is that enough for you? And the answer is yes. And what I have come to find in the power of weakness is reaffirmed by two verses in the Bible, because I believe the Bible is the inspired word of God. It's in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 9 and 10 in the New Century Version. Paul writing said, but he said to me, my grace is enough for you. When you are weak, My power is made perfect in you. So I am very happy to brag about my weakness. Then Christ's power can live in me. For this reason, I am happy when I have weaknesses, insults, hard times, sufferings, and all kinds of troubles for Christ. Because when I am weak, then I am truly strong. I had the privilege to take back a speaker that came to our church in 2017 to the airport, and we spent 15 minutes together as I took him back. And he told me that he teaches a class at Pepperdine University in Malibu, California on failure. And he told me that he invites disgraced senators, disgraced governors, people who've been in the news, athletes, celebrities who've had big falls from grace. But they're not allowed to talk about their successes. They're only allowed to talk about their failures and their weaknesses. I thought, oh my gosh, what planet are you from? But as more time has passed, I've come to find that it's in those moments that we can lead through our strengths, but we connect through our weaknesses. I will admit to you, not too long ago, I get to do a show that we've called Untucked with Steve. It's a radio show and that's available on podcast. And I had done a show and done a segment on a life lesson that we can learn from Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty back together again. So as Eminem put, and I want to get back to that, it's like sometimes you got to draw on that inner strength. Well, what about when that inner strength is not enough? What about when you can't put yourself back together, when you've listened to everything, you've gone to doctors, you've taken medicine, and nothing seems to be working? I had a gentleman call me and leave me a voicemail, said, hey, this is so-and-so. I listened to episode, I don't remember what it was, maybe 46, 45. He said, that segment really got to me. Give me a call when you get a chance. I hadn't talked to him in about 6 years. So I called him up, said, man, what's going on? He said, I listened to your show. My wife and I listened. I heard the segment, and I just want to say thank you. I said, for what, man? He said, for the longest time, I thought you were a robot. You know, when you would stand on stage, when I would see you, I would nudge my wife and go, man, that guy's got it all together. That guy doesn't struggle, man. Just listen to him. Look how with this and that. So first of all, I thanked him for listening to the show. And second, I thanked him for reaching out and telling me, because with the advent of social media and so much content out there, no one has to listen to your stuff or may never hear it. So it always means the world to me when someone does listen, and even more so when they take the time to tell me. I said, but third, I got to address that last piece. I said, I got to be honest with you, man. That is what I wanted people to think back then, that I had it all together, because that's what I knew. I said, but I got to tell you, man, I don't have it all together. I don't have all the answers. I struggle. I fall short. I disappoint. I have weaknesses. I have tendencies and issues that I'm working with. And I don't want you to believe just for a second, because I get to stand on a stage or have a mic in my hand, that abstains me from the pressures of life, because it doesn't. I said, so I'm just trying to be honest and transparent and vulnerable for maybe the first time in my life. And I'm sorry if this disappoints you, but Steve Sauceda is a human being. As my good friend Heather Bean said, Steve, welcome to the human race. We all struggle and we all need him. So yeah, while I enjoy Till I Collapse for the beat and it gets me hype, I can't draw on that inner strength, because sometimes it's not enough. I have to rely on him. I'm a human being too. There's many things in my heart that I put on the shelf that I'm looking forward to getting back to in 2018, and hopefully, who knows, maybe visit a city near you. Would love that opportunity. But all I know is there was a few people in my world that I would truly be open and honest and vulnerable with, but there wasn't very many. And one of them said this to me, Steve, if you would show the world what you've shown me, they would still love you. And God knows that has been what I have tried to do. And I believe I'm making efforts and making strides. I hope it doesn't disappoint you to know that I struggle with certain things. But I hope it's an encouragement to you to know that you're not in this alone. You're not in it alone, friend. I hope to be able to share more of these, along with clips where hopefully in places that I've got invited to speak, if it can be an encouragement to you. One thing I'm efforting to do is to be real. To not ever make it seem or look like I have it all together, because I don't. I'm a human being who needs Jesus just like you. I hope you've been encouraged. If you want to drop me a line, feel free. info@stevesauceda.com. I will get it. I would love to respond to you. But know, friend, that there is power in weakness. And if someone thinks less of you, so be it, because they're just hiding the fact, like I was, that they need help too. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.